Yo, what's up, guys? Today we're gonna look at rotation in 2v2. You're gonna learn a bunch of things, and a lot of the things you learn today are things that you can apply in also 3v3. Being first man in 2v2 is the same as being first man in 3v3, but being second man in 2v2 is not the same as being second man in 3v3 because you have an additional player in 3v3. But being second man is also being last man in 2v2. So you also have a last man in 3v3, but we call it the third man instead of the second man. So you can think that whatever, whenever we come to this point, you can think that if you're more into 3v3 stuff, you can think that this is more like being the third man, the last man, in 3v3. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna first talk about the theory, stuff that is relevant for rotation in 3v2. We're going to talk about being first man, being second man, and how to avoid double committing. And after that, I'm going to show you guys a quick replay where I will show you guys that we are adapting a lot of these things that we're going to talk about today into that replay so that you guys will understand what I'm saying. So yeah, so first man, that's the car that is like closest to their net. So first man's job is mostly facing your car towards the ball. You want to point your car towards the ball and pressure by staying close to the ball. So you always want to show them that you are close to the ball. If you leave away from the ball, you're giving the opponents more times to pull off a good dribble, and more time to boom the ball, more time to pressure. The closer you are, the more uncomfortable the opponents will be, the easier it will be for them to actually mess up. Uh, and there are some good tips. If you are closer to the ball than the opponent, go for the ball, gain position. Don't leave the ball. And once you gain the position, you have to see like if it's a short distance between the opponent and the ball, like you are closest but the opponent is not so far away, try to boom the ball where your opponent can't reach it. Maybe 90 degrees to right or left or somewhere on the field where it's secure to kind of put it, but also a guarantee for you to dribble their first man so that you can also follow it up because it's being the ball is going to a place or spot where it's empty. But if it's long distances, in some cases in 2v2 the opponents will just play really passive or something and you have good time with the ball. Never boom it. Dribble the ball, drive with the ball, try to win a 50 or try to flick it or whatever. That's the first, if you're close to the ball. In some cases, the distance between the ball and you is the same as the ball and the opponents, either grounded or in the air, it doesn't matter. But if that's the case, go for a 50-50. There is no reason for you to shadow. If you shadow, you're just giving them away position. So you gotta go for a 50-50. That's the best case scenario. If your opponent, which is a third thing that can happen, is that the opponent is closer to the ball than you, and you are first man, of course. What you want to do in this case, the best tips, drive towards the ball. Don't leave the ball. Don't get scared. Grab towards the ball, and then you have two options. You can try going for a 50-50, which you might lose because since he is closest to the ball, he will have like a small advantage. Or you can fake challenge, which is just drive to the ball, then immediately, the moment he booms the ball or whatever, you drive back. And the good thing is doing this is that you are still in position to rotate back and protect your net or try to interrupt your opponent. And the reason we do this is because you let yourself get dribbled, so your teammate, who is second man, will gain position. So when he booms the ball or kind of shoots the ball, he will pass it to your teammate. so that your teammate gains position and you did not mess up your car because you just drove and immediately went back. But when you're going for a 50-50, if you mess it up, it will be a 2v1 against your teammate because you will not be able to reach back in time. So you have to think about these two options and evaluate the better options. So yeah, it says like I'm saying here, don't shadow defense as first man. Some people shadow defense as first man, uh, but it's your job to pressure and make your teammate gain position. And that's by either booming the ball, dribbling, passing, or going for a 50-50 or fake challenging. But it's not your job to protect the net. Your teammate will cover it up. And you should rotate away from the play when the space between the ball and your teammate is closer than the ball and you. And this doesn't depend on who is visually closer, because sometimes you might be closer to the ball when you just look at the screen, but you also have to look at the speed of the car. You know, if you just stopped and killed all your momentum and you're closer to the ball, but your teammate is actually driving from behind, full boost and everything, he will reach the ball before you. And so so there are some situations when this happens, when your teammate will be closer even if he's second man. And that's when you boom the ball. When you boom the ball, he will most of the time be quicker to follow the ball than you. If you whiff the ball, he will of course be closer because you just whiff the ball and you're probably in the air or flip it or whatever. If you lose a 50-50, when you lose a 50-50, you flip to the ball and you mess up your car, it's time to get back. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when you mess up the car after an aerial, dribble attempt or flipping, why I'm saying flipping here is because you kind of get stuck in the momentum when you're flipping. So you will be a little bit slower than your teammate who is probably just driving. Yeah, so, or when you like accidentally flipped or jumped when you shouldn't, sometimes we try to follow the play and then we flip and then we realize like, oh shit, the ball is coming towards us and we can't reach it because of the animation. So remember that most of the time when you flip, you'll be the last to reach the ball that requires aerials, unless you are in a good position and there is good distance. Whenever you have pushed too far, which might happen, what will happen is that most of the time you will either whiff if you try to go for a aerial or whatever, or if you are lucky and get a touch, it will be an unpredictable touch. It will be a ball that goes behind you instead of forward, which will kind of mess up your teammate. So if you are pushed too far and you realize it, just leave it. Just leave it and drive back. Let your teammate take it. If he doesn't, then you go for it. In some cases, you should rotate away from the play, even if you are closest to the ball, even if you are closer. But that's only if your teammate has a better angle, a shot on target. I would say mostly if it's a shot on target. But also if he is closer to the ball than any of the opponents. So even if your teammate, who is second man, has a better angle or shot, but if you let him take that ball and you know that that will end up in a 50-50 against him and the opponents, then you're not going to leave it. You're only going to leave the ball if it's safe for him to go for the ball without being challenged. Yeah, and remember to flip towards your net or out of the play to signalize that you are rotating. So when you're flipping, your teammate will understand like, okay. So as second man, when you see your first man flipping, you don't have to wait till till first man comes all the way back to your net so that you can go out of the net. That's not how it works. You have to understand like shadow defending and all that kind of stuff. The moment you see him flipping and it's safe to leave the net, that your teammate can cover the net, that's your job as second man to start going as first man. So yeah, this is like the common things for being first man. Now let's look at second man. So this is the guy who stays behind the first man. And yeah, I think as second man, many people think that second man is about scoring the assist and all that. I think like if you want to win a game, protect the net at all cost. Which means that if you are a second man, you need to be able to cover your net from any potential shot from the field. So it depends. As you are, if you are higher ranked, in a higher rank, you will be better to shadow defend. The more you are better to defend, the more you can push forward. Shorter distances means difficult saves. But if you have better mechanics, you can pull that off. But in lower ranks, they will have trouble to shadow defense. So it's better to stay more behind, have more gap, because longer distances means easier saves. Uh, so yeah, as second man, think always to protect your net instead of trying to score. So even if your first man is giving an assist and you see that both of their opponents is covering the net, and if that and you might go for the shot or not, but you have to take the risk. Is it worth trying to score? If you trying to score might end up in a bad 50 that leads to them scoring on you, it's not worth it. If it's an open net or 100% chance that you will score, of course go for it. If it's safe for you to try scoring the assists because you know that your second man or your first man actually have rotated back and all that kind of stuff, of course. But think protecting your net as your first priority, then scoring as second man as your second priority. Look carefully for which way the ball is traveling and where the opponents are facing their cars. A lot of people, when they go in for aerial or stuff, they get blinded. They just want to hit the ball so much that they focus too much on the ball, but they are not focusing on everything else around the field. If the ball is on their corner and you see that both of their teammates are either facing to the left or right or facing or shadowing, it's safe for you to have your car pushing more forward because there is no way they can get a shot on target that is fast. You will be able to travel back, you know. If they are facing to the left or right, if they hit the ball will touch the wall before it goes to your net. And if it touches the wall, it will kill its speed, the ball's momentum or speed, which will be a good thing for you. So look carefully. So if their opponent is facing your net and they're protecting their net, of course, then you gotta be careful because they might shoot a shot on target that's a high aerial and stuff like that. So so look out for where they are pointing their cars so that you know how far and how aggressive or passive you should play. So as second man, you can play aggressive or passive. It depends on the situation, like I just told you guys. Being aggressive means mostly facing your cards towards where you predict the ball will travel. So don't face it towards the ball because your first man is going with the ball, of course, but where will be travel? So if he's giving assist, where do you think it will be traveling? Most likely above the net or around the net somewhere. So face it there. And this is if you know that it's safe to play aggressive. But in some cases, if you see that the opponents have their car facing your net, it's if you feel threatened by it, then you or they are dribbling or something like that, you want to play passive, and that means that you're facing your cards toward your net from a diagonal angle. So if the net is here, you want your card either facing like this or like this. You don't want to stay in the middle because it's going to be really weird. It's easier to save like that or like this if you're going for an aerial or whatever. Yeah, as soon as you see your teammate first man flipping to get back, you should ask yourself two questions before approaching the ball. if the opponents are pressuring. Because when your teammate is flipping back, he's signalizing that he's rotating, of course, but you as second man should not just immediately go for the ball. You should ask yourself two questions. The number one is, can he be able to save any shot from your net from where he's at? You know, you got to look at what happened. Did he mess up his car? Did he go for an aerial and then his car ended up on the other side of the field? You know, stuff like that. So, so yeah, you got to think like, okay, if I'm going for the ball, it might be a 50-50. You know, what will happen if you lose a 50-50? Can he be able to save that shot? If the answer is yes, you act as first man. You go for the ball, you go for the 50-50 or whatever. If the answer is no, that okay, you going for a 50-50 will actually lead to them scoring, then you delay going for the ball. You don't want to go for the 50-50. You fake challenge and shadow defend and do whatever to protect the nets, because it's still your job to protect the nets. The reason you do this is because the reason you delay going for the ball is so that you buy time for your teammate to get further back before you act as first man. So you wait till your teammate gets in a position where he can be able to say whatever is coming next so that you can go as first man. And the second question you should ask is first man actually rotating or trying to interrupt the opponents? Some people are rotating, some people interrupt. You know, if the first man is way far behind or whatever and he can't come back in time, he will try to interrupt, and that's a good play. So look out for where he's driving and his intentions. Maybe he's going for a demo or trying to mess up their position because maybe the opponent is trying to dribble or something, so he tries to just mess them up. So if he tries to interrupt the opponents, your job is to protect the net. It's not your job to act as first man. Just wait. So that's the rules for being second man. So here are just some tips to avoid double committing. Always one player at a time. One player at a time with the ball. Trust your teammate if he's in front of you as first man. Let him go for the ball, even if it's a shot on your target. In some cases, you will be second man on the goal line and he will probably be like 2 centimeters in front of you. And even if you know that you have a guarantee to save it, don't go for it. Let him go for it first. And the moment he whiffs is the moment you actually need to go for the ball. And I know that this might be a way more difficult way to save shots because you as second man have to delay going for the ball because it will be like short distance to the ball when the more you're waiting. But the problem is that if you try to save the ball at the same time as your teammates, and even if you succeed because he whiffed or whatever, your net will stay uncovered because both of you double committed. And the opponents will have a higher chance of actually scoring because it will be an open net. And yeah, trust also your teammate if he's protecting the net or as a second man. Two players don't need to protect the net if it's a shot on target when the opponents are booming the ball. Even though you know that you have a guarantee to save it as well, it's better to just trust your teammates. Because the problem is the same here. If you try to save the ball at the same time, and even let's say your teammate misses and you successfully, luckily saved it, your net will stay uncovered because both of you double committed. And what will happen next is that the opponents will have a free net and a high chance of actually scoring. The only exception to double commit is if the opponents are like dribbling or it's a 2v1 and you feel like you are way out of position and you just have to mess up the play. In some cases that might be okay instead of leaving your teammate in a 2v1 really close to the net. And don't go for the ball twice, which means like after you've done an aerial or single or double jumping or flipping or messing up your car, or if you do a bad touch, you try to dribble and you mess it up. Uh, Whenever these things happens, it's going to make you slower than everyone else on the field. So if you try to go for the ball twice, you most likely will be beaten up in higher ranks, or you will just mess up your teammates because it will be a double commit because he will go for it. And when it comes to cut rotation, I think this is also important when it comes to rotation. And cut rotation if your teammate don't rotate fast enough or properly. There are a lot of players. Some players are going for corner boost or mid boost or whatever instead of going for the ball. And so even if you are rotating and you feel that your teammate haven't rotated the correct way, you should just go for the ball. Do not give your opponents the ball. So yeah, now we're gonna look at this replay. It's 5 minutes. It's me and my teammates against two players, and we are kind of rotating. And I will, yeah. So here you see that I'm going for the ball, and as you see here, I'm not going for the ball again. I'm letting my teammate go. I'm staying on the goal line. That's the best way to save it. And now I saw that my teammate flipped to the ball, which is kind of delaying him, and that's why I'm going for the ball. I'm not cutting rotation. It's a part of rotation because I was quicker. So now you see that I'm not booming the ball. Never boom the ball if you have possession. Try to flick it or whatever. So here I should have been a little bit closer, but I was empty on boost. The right play here is actually to be closer, but I forget to say, like, stealing boost, their boost is very important if you have opportunity to do it. So as you saw here, if you look here, uh, so this moment right here, he's closer to the ball, and a lot of players as second man will be scared for going for this ball because it looks like, oh, he's closer, I will get dribbled if I go. But I see him flipping, and since I see him flipping, I know that I can reach to this ball before this guy. I don't know about this guy, and I also know that my teammate, because of this guy, has to take the ball next. He can't score from there. He can boom the ball there, but then it will go like this, maybe this, and my teammate have a good time to get that. So I go for the ball, and right now it's a short distance between the ball and me and the ball and my teammates. I don't have time to pull off a dribble or whatever. So I'm booming it to empty space where he can't reach it. So I boomed it here, or yeah. And now I'm dribbling, taking my time. And my teammate followed up. But if you go back here, I kind of messed up my car. And here my teammate should have thought that, okay, he's in a very bad position here. I can't score from here. Is it worth booming the ball or whatever? Or going for a 50-50? He should have waited. He should have waited for me to kind of reposition myself. But he went for the ball. So there's no way I can save this now without boost or anything. So here I'm going for the ball, and here I'm going for mid boost. Usually if the ball goes towards your field, you should go for one of the corner boosts. But I saw that the ball is going where he's at, so it's kind of safe. And the reason I'm taking the boost is because I don't want him to have the boost, so that he can't do a good play. So here, as you see, I was rotating, and I'm going for the boost. And here I see I have time. Then I try to dribble, take it on top of my car, and here I messed up the play. And here I don't know why my teammate did this. I think this was, I don't understand what he's doing there. I'm usually players will just follow the ball. I don't know what that was, but I just kept on rotating back. Um, so it was just a bad touch from him or something. So as you see here, the reason I didn't go for the ball here was because I know he's kind of, he might protect, there is a 50-50. And I also know my teammate is kind of way back. So I was thinking, this guy's going to draw like this. So stealing the booster is a good option as well. In some cases, it's better to take the ball, but I prefer taking the boost sometimes, accordingly to where my teammate is, of course. So if you see here, I'm not going to double commit. I'm not going to crash into him. I'm trying to avoid him, avoid the ball and avoid him. But I think he unluckily flipped or something and messed up his car. So here I'm trying to pass to my teammate. So my teammate should actually just boom it right now. But I see that my teammate is also flipping, and since he flipped right after me, I know that he's stuck in that animation, leaving me to kind of cut rotation and go for the ball again. So here my teammate is facing towards the net, and he should just play a little bit more positional, but so far good. So as you see here, I know that me challenging this is enough time for him to save it, so it's safe for me to challenge. Here I'm going with the ball, and here my teammate was way too passive. He should have been closer, and as you see, it did not end up in a goal. So here I'm trying to buy time for my teammate to get back by kind of delaying what I'm gonna do. So here you have a good example on like I'm coming and my teammate is like we are just all going for the ball at the same time. It's like four commits, but because for me, I had to, I'm kind of I have to protect the net. He has to protect the net, and this is like if we don't do it, it's mostly gonna be a goal. So here we all go for it, and we actually saves it. So like here, this is a good one. So here I'm going for the ball, and my teammate should be somewhere around here. But look what my teammate is doing. Instead of staying positionally, he's going for their boost there. And when I see that, it's like, what's the what am I supposed to do? I know that it's no reason to give an assist here, but so he kind of messes up the play. I still succeed to give a good assist, but he was out of position when he decided to go for their boost. So now he's there all the way, and he's not going to score it. And then he luckily scores it anyways. But it would have been much easier if he had just positioned himself better. So here, my teammate shoots the ball. Uh, if you look at it again, my teammate shoots the ball. He's first man. He's still first man, but instead of, he should just drive like here, maybe like that, or whatever. Instead of doing that, he's just rotating and going for that boost. And when I see him do that, he is delaying me. I know that there's no reason for me to go challenge him now. I'm still last man. I'm seeing what he's doing, which is a big mistake, which is forcing me to play more and more passive. And now that I see him, he's in a good position, I can finally, pull up, pull off a play. So like here, when I did this, I didn't see my teammate coming or whatever, so that's why I quickly went for it again. Normally my teammate should have followed up. So here also, if you look at that, I see him. He has the ball. I am way too far. I know that if I'm pushing too close, he will dribble me or whatever. I could have done it. I could have fake challenged, but instead, I just want to play very slow. I kill my momentum and then wait till he passes it to me, and then I boom it. And the reason I boom it is because I see him driving towards this place, so I'm trying to boom it, dribble him. And there also I stole his boost so that he can't do a good play instead of me going for the ball first. Now it's easy for me to pull off a play. There my teammate has position. And like you see here, I'm not going to risk going for this ball, which is why I'm turning back. I know that was very dangerous because my teammate was also too far in front. So here also I'm stealing the boost. And now I can just bump the hell out of him. And that's a good goal. Yeah, this is fine. So here, instead of shooting the ball, I just let it pass through me. Sometimes it's better to just let it pass through you so you can kind of get it up the wall and pull up a air dribble or something like that. It depends on the situation. It wasn't necessary, but I sometimes do it. I've seen pro players do it, so so as you saw here, like this is a very good example on like in this moment, instead of me rotating back, I'm trying to mess him up because that's the only way. That's the only thing I can do right now because I'm behind this guy, so I need to just fuck him up. So it's easy for my teammate to take the ball. Here I actually whiffed the ball. So here it's like if you look here, I'm driving back, and my teammate should have noticed that I'm driving back, and he's very close to the ball, but he's just he's still close to the ball, but he's just leaving the play. So he's still first man, even though he took a touch, because he was pointing the ball all the time and he's close to the ball. So now we just gave away position for free. That's a good 50-50. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe.